All right, that is the Bank of England governor. But with that, let's move on to another important story. The European Securities Market Regulator, the ESMA, has disqualified 6 Indian clearing companies, including CCIL, iccl, as well as the NSE clearing company. This means that foreign banks who report to this regulator can't use the facilities of the CCIL, as well as, other clearing companies. So Latha is here to explain what's going on and the reason behind this disqualification. Latha.
Well, first, I must tell you that though it sounds like a disqualification on CCIL, the clearing corporations in India, it's actually a disadvantage for the foreign banks who operate, whom the ESMA regulates. Okay, now let me give you all the abbreviations first. ESMA is the European Union's securities market regulator. They have disqualified all those CCIL, iccl, Clearing Corporation of India, Indian Clearing Corporation Limited, NSC Clearing, all those, that's the meaning of all those abbreviations. All the clearing companies which run the exchanges are being disqualified. The disqualification starts only on April 30th, so there's a good 6 months now. And the reason is that no cooperation agreements have been reached between the ESMA, the European regulator, and India, the guys who regulate the CCIL in India, which is RBI regulates CCIL, SEBI regulates the Indian Clearing Corp and the nsccl, etc. So the two regulators have not reached cooperation agreements. Actually, the ESMA has a lot of rules that the qualifying companies will have to tick, and the CCIL ticks most of it. Only this one, the cooperation agreements, has not been ticked. Okay, let me tell you the background to the story. Basically, it is a principled argument from RBI. What RBI says is that what the ESMA wants is to supervise the books of CCIL and all these entities, because they are the counterparties every time a foreign bank whom they regulate has a dealing. For instance, say a Barclays, or not Barclays, a Deutsche Bank, SocGen, any of the French banks or German banks, if they do a deal in CCIL, CCIL becomes the counterparty. So if CCIL doesn't have enough money, Deutsche Bank is in a problem. So they want to regulate those entities. But usually, regulators everywhere have an understanding. If RBI certifies CCIL as good enough, ESMA should accept that certification. Just as if ESMA says Deutsche Bank is good enough, then RBI accepts that certification. So this is an ongoing conversation between ESMA and RBI. It's not really contentious. It's more a procedural thing. And chances are, according to Mr. R. Gandhi, whom I spoke with, he is a former RBI DG. So even in his time, these consultations were on. Now he is a non-executive chairman of CCIL. So, he says the conversations are going on. There is a good possibility that even before April 30th, the, disqualification will be removed. Now, what does it mean? The disqualification is not so much of a loss for CCIL, iccl, etc., as it is a bother for the foreign banks. Now, what is the advantage of having a CCIL? You can net your transactions. Say a Deutsche Bank or someone does dealings with SBI, with so many mutual funds. Now, they buy bonds, treasury bills from everyone. In the end, at the end of the day, they get a net figure which they have to pay. Now, if you can't deal with CCIL as a counterparty, you have to do separate bilateral deals with each of the banks. Also, when you do a deal with one of these banks, you have to keep capital. Just as you have to, regulated entities, you'll end up keeping more capital. So it is the foreign banks who are prevailing upon their regulators to see reason or whatever to agree to a cooperation agreement very soon. That's where the story stands.
All right, very important development actually, and Latha will get us more details as and when things really move forward. But in Forex transaction, this is an important story. Now with that, we'll slip into a short breather on business lunch, but when we return, the air quality situation in the national capital continues to worsen. We'll put the spotlight there. Stay tuned.